Police Officer John Adsit should not be alive. So telling him that it was unrealistic that he'd be able to fully resume his career as a police officer after his catastrophic on-duty injury, well, that just seemed like a bet that nobody wanted to make, you know? But Officer Adsit is ready to lay his cards on the table. He's leaving the force at the end of the week.
December 3rd of 2014, I was involved in escorting a group of high school students who had walked out in a march. 3 of us were struck. I was struck directly by a vehicle. I ended up on top of the vehicle, and then the vehicle slowed down, and I ended up in front of the vehicle, and then it sped back up, and I was dragged underneath for about half a block. I spent from December 3rd of 2014 till February 18th of 2015 in the hospital, in rehab. At this point, my wife and I have counted around 25 surgeries. There isn't a doctor that I've really talked to that hasn't related to me that I'm a walking miracle and that I really shouldn't be here. And so, again, I want to thank those people first and foremost for their prayers. This is my last week being a sworn police officer. It really wasn't my decision, physically or mentally, to make. I loved the job that I had and worked for the department that I always wanted to work for. Really, the situation and the decision was taken out of my hands by physical things that just didn't heal and didn't progress fast enough for me to continue the pursuit of getting back to the job, unfortunately. I hope it's a story of hope and inspiration for other first responders, whether they be police, fire, paramedics, military, law enforcement, can oftentimes get a bad name. I found that the majority of the community is very supportive of what we do on a day in and day out basis, and that's something that I would want other first responders to know, that people really do care and appreciate. I appreciate your service and what you men and women do every day.
Officer Adsit's last day on the force will be May 20th. He's going back to school, working toward a degree in psychology, and he's spending time on his nonprofit, which provides financial and emotional support for other injured first responders. Restorations are painstaking and nerve-wracking operations, even if the item that you're looking to return to its former glory isn't one of just 5 in existence. Our Mike Grady turns his lens on a piano technician in Denver who brought a 144-year-old rarity back to life.
This piano was built in 1873. It's known as a Steinway Monitor Grand, and it's a very, very unique piano and extremely rare. This is a historic piano. It is one of 15 maybe in the world. We know where there's 5. There certainly isn't another piano in the United States, another Monitor Grand, that is in this condition. That I can assure you. My name is Marshall Luke. I've been a piano technician in the Denver area for 45 years. We had the opportunity to do a restoration and for a customer who had had it in his family for 70 years. The piano, of course, has been completely refinished, but it now has a beautiful set of new ivory keys. The piano had a new soundboard, new bridges. The plate has been refinished, new cabriole legs, beautiful diamond tufted bench. What a piano. What a piano. I love to play it when it's done. I just love to play the piano when it's done. And you can hear how great of a piano it is, and all the hours you put into it are truly worth it. That's the prize.
Isn't that cool? The owner of that very rare piano came to check it out this afternoon. I know you want us to tell you who exactly owns it. but that's their business. All I can say is that it will be returned to its home in a house on Lookout Mountain next week. It's a statue that invites you to walk by without noticing. Or perhaps you notice it, but you subconsciously choose to look away because you didn't realize it was a statue. You thought it was a homeless man sleeping on a bench. Photojournalist Tom Cole chose to stop and to notice what's outside Father Woody's Haven of Hope in Denver.
Being homeless is not fun like camping. There are a lot of challenges out here. You know, I've never had a lot of personal friends, so I sleep outdoors.
We serve about 600 to 700 a day. This is a homeless day shelter. It's by accident. I happened to see on the internet a couple of years back at where the Pope was blessing this sculpture that was done by an artist in Ontario, Canada. As soon as I saw it, I said, we got to have this.
To see Christ in the same position that many of us find ourselves in is a very powerful thing indeed.
The sculpture wanted people to recognize that Jesus is their neighbor. It's the only one in Denver. He will not put more than one in the city. He'd rather have 3 in 3 cities than 3 in 1 city.
What could be more powerful than a man that we hold in such high esteem, sharing, quote unquote, our experience? It's a very powerful symbol.
I think this is where it belongs.
Most of who I am, I owe to others, including that young man to a certain degree.
Next is a full-service news operation in good weather and bad. Little known fact, when it snows, I rate your snow photos that you send in on Twitter because unlike snowflakes, each one is not unique and special. A lot of them look the same, some are just okay, and a couple are spectacular. Bill Adkins in Boulder. Dude, you want it too much. You didn't even wait till it snowed to send me your patio furniture. 3 out of 10. Tori Ware in Summit County. Nice grill. Bring in your brush. 6 out of 10. Jason Johnson. Got 5 cranes in this shot of downtown. Very Denver. 7 out of 10. James Lewis. You did the Manitou Incline today? You're my hero. 11 out of 10. Andrew Fedge is buried up in Estes Park. Dog in the picture, automatic 12 out of 10. And today's winner, also knee-deep in Estes Park and several pints in as well. Cheers to Jordan and the crew at Rock Cut Brewery. 13 out of 10. Governor Hickenlooper's first pardon in his 6 years in office is an attempt today to spare Rene Lima-Marin from deportation to Cuba. And it raises questions about whether Governor Hickenlooper will use his pardon power to prevent other pending deportations. And we'll surely be hearing about all of the rehabilitated felons seeking pardons who are American citizens and who wonder if the governor will show them the same mercy. To Lima-Marin's case, he became a cause celeb with state legislators, Republican and Democrat, along with many in the media. Sympathy ran high when he was mistakenly released early, went out to start a family and stay out of trouble for years, only to get pulled back to prison. A judge ordered him freed this week, and then ICE swept in to deport him. He was a felon who came here fleeing Cuba as a child. ICE says it has a final order to deport Lima-Marin, but his attorney seemed cautiously optimistic this afternoon that they can reopen his case and have him freed now.
From here, we get in touch with ICE as well as their attorneys and see if we can work together to reopen the case, because given the full and unconditional pardon, we should be able to reopen Rene's immigration proceedings and put him back into his status as a resident, which would allow him to go home.
It is impossible to separate the politics from the practical implications of this decision today. The first and the fiercest critic of the pardon is District Attorney George Brockler, who's seeking the Republican nomination for governor. It was his district that prosecuted Lima-Marin back in 2000. And today his office quickly provided what they labeled a trophy photo of Lima-Marin and his co-defendant posing with weapons and cash after a string of video store robberies. DA Brockler suggested that pardoning Lima-Marin ahead of the 100+ other people requesting a pardon of Governor Hickenlooper amounted to a photo op. The governor was asked today whether he will be issuing a second pardon or a third pardon to some rehabilitated ex-con who's an American citizen.
Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we will have, there will be other news for people who have requested pardons for, and again, in almost all these early cases, there are people that are, have done the same kind of work. They've recreated their lives.
So now what's next for Lima-Marin is likely a legal fight with ICE as we see just how strongly the Trump Justice Department wants to hold on to that judge's original order to send him to Cuba now that there's a pardon.
A northern Colorado man calls himself a citizen scientist. His hobby is wildlife photography, not pretty pictures of elk in a meadow. He took me on a hike to show the different kind of images captured by his camera.
Okay.
To understand David Neal's fascination with mountain lions, you first have to hear the story he tells about a bow hunting trip a few years ago.
I was laying on my side sleeping, taking a nap in the afternoon like this, and a male mountain lion came up from behind and pushed on my cheek like that with its muzzle. And I sat up and it ran behind me, and I looked over and saw, you know, huge male mountain lion tracks, and the claws were extended. So it thought I was prey, but it decided not to eat me. Here I am.
Here he is.
The first thing I did is I smelled my armpits, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I hadn't showered for 2 days. Maybe that's what saved me.
David calls himself a citizen scientist, studying a lot about predators. We're here in this gulch west of Loveland to check on the results of some of David's research.
Oh, here we go.
He's a wildlife photographer who does it all surreptitiously.
Okay, so this is a coyote.
His trail cameras have captured a lot cool video that has a specific purpose.
Right after the flood in 2013, the coyotes disappeared, and we really didn't know why. And with these cameras, I was able to report back to the ranch, you know, we have a healthy coyote population in the gulch.
And his cameras have captured plenty of shots of his favorite predator. Images we're not used to seeing, like this mama with her cubs. He shares those videos with the public, hoping to break the stereotype.
People have an image in their head about mountain lions based on TV shows, based on Disney. You know, like they're laying on a rock up there, scratching their claws, and the Lion King music is playing in the background. That's not it at all.
These images give folks an inside look at the animal kingdom that surrounds us.
And I hope that, you know, through this, people will just become more interested in spending time off the pavement.
For Next, I'm Steve Staker. Hey, that's me. That area where David and I were hiking, it's actually called Sylvandale Guest Ranch. It's a conservation easement. They let David in to monitor the wildlife there. He does host occasional guided hikes for the public there, and we're putting David's information in this story on the Next Facebook page.
No Lion King music. Check.
No Lion King.
All right, thanks, Steve. The most Colorado thing we saw on a day full of Colorado things is the guy wakeboarding on Guyton Lake in Longmont with the snow flying and an American flag whipping in the wind. We salute you, Landon Rosendale.